Um, Almost everybody who consults me wants to know why they're anxious, and a lot of people do not understand why they're anxious. And I'm going to give you like the shorthand answer. Obviously, I can explain it a little bit more in depth, but the shorthand answer is this. Why are you anxious? Because your brain is telling you that you need to be anxious. Your brain makes you anxious. That's so simple to say and yet so profound. And yet there are hundreds of millions of people in the world who believe they're anxious, or let's say don't know why they're anxious, but believe they're anxious for other reasons. The only reason that you're anxious is that your brain makes you anxious. Your brain gives you the experience of anxiety. Now, you believe you believe the experience your brain gives you, right? You believe that whatever you think about yourself, whatever you understand about the world, your beliefs and expectations about how things are, let's say, in the world, you believe that you're accurate. You're not accurate. Much of what you believe about yourself is wrong. Much of what you believe about lots of other stuff is wrong, actually. And there's an old kind of phrase that fighter pilots use, right? Don't trust your senses, trust the instruments. Your senses can be wrong, and if you trust your senses, it can drive you into the ground, whereas the instruments are always right. People do not realize that their brain is giving them the wrong information, and they just kind of just don't see it. But of course you can't, because you're not set up to see it. Your brain and your consciousness are not set up. They work in collaboration such that you are blind and oblivious to this profound yet simple truth that much of what you believe about yourself is wrong. And I'm going to give you a simple example, and people who follow my work will recognize this, right? Anxiety is an overestimation of threat. Anxiety is an overestimation of threat. Look around you, and can you see a threat? Now you might think, well, coronavirus, but you're anxious before that. When you look around, is there a threat? No. But why are you anxious then? You're anxious because your brain is overestimating threat, right? Your brain is not accurately calibrated to external reality, because you're no more at risk than anyone else. You say, well, I've been anxious for a long time. Yeah, okay, well, that's habit, but still, you are not under a threat, so why do you need to feel anxious? Well, the answer is you don't, which means that you have to stop your brain from giving you the experience of anxiety. Otherwise, it will just continue to give you the experience of anxiety. So here's the sort of bottom line, really. And this is true, and I've demonstrated it many hundreds of times with people I've worked with. You do not need to be anxious. Anxiety is an option. You could exercise the option of not being anxious, or you can continue to believe that you need to be anxious for some hidden reason, right? It's your choice. But unless you exercise the option of not being anxious, then you'll just remain anxious. And everything I've said is exactly the same for depression, because these are both internally brain-generated disorders, and they can be resolved adequately if you use the right tools and resources. I hope you find this interesting. Check me out on drpurvis.online.